What happens when you mix The Binding of Isaac, Magic the Gathering, XCOM, and a bag full of cats? Well, you get Mewgenics, of course, the new roguelike from Edmund McMillen and Tyler Glaiel. At first, Mewgenics may feel like a lot to sink your paws into, but worry not, as we have plenty of tips to keep your feline fighters going strong.
Cat fight, got cats, let's fight, beat down tonight.
Before you even start a run, you must pick out the crew you want to adventure with. Normally, you would journey with a squad of 4 cats, but you can optionally pick 3 instead. Why would you want to do this? Well, a smaller squad means your cats will level up faster. This is something to keep in mind if you're struggling with specific bosses down the road, but for the most part you will want to stick with the standard 4 cat crew and keep the 3 cat option in your back pocket. In Mewgenics, equipping a collar is the equivalent of choosing the class of your cat, red being your fighter, blue being your mage, brown being your tank, white being your cleric, etc. Every collar increases and decreases certain stats. Your goal with the collar is to pick one that is complementary to what the cat already has inherently. For example, if your cat has ranged abilities and high dexterity, you should go with the green ranged collar. I personally found the most success in my runs when I had a competent tank and cleric on my team, but it's a good idea to experiment with team compositions. As you continue the game, you will unlock more collars to equip your cat with. You don't actually have to choose a collar if you don't want to. Think of going collarless as the wildcard option that can give you a more unique cat. If you already have the base stats of your cat to your liking and feel like taking a bit of a risk, consider giving it a go. Outfitting your cats with the right items can make or break a run. Your goal when equipping items should be to fix weaknesses a cat may have. For example, if you see that a cat has low HP, maybe give them an item that will act as armor. You should also look out for combos when equipping items to your cat. Let's say you have a tank that specializes in knocking back enemies with their chain knockback or home run passive abilities. You can outfit that tank with a rubber fist weapon that gives an extra melee attack with knockback and a chance to confuse enemies so they are less likely to successfully retaliate. Building cats that can combo their passive abilities, spells, and items is the heart of Mewgenics, and creativity plays a crucial role in that process. Many items in Mewgenics can have detrimental effects under certain conditions. For example, a metal hat will conduct electricity, making it a bad idea to equip it to a cat during a thunderstorm. Others might be destroyed by water, making them a waste to equip while it's raining. You can see the current weather on the upper right side of the map screen, and you can even preview what it will be before a run back at home base. Once you enter a battle, you'll see the turn order on the upper right side of the screen. Turn order is based off of the speed stat, which also affects movement in general. If you select someone on the turn order, you will see them highlighted on the battle screen. At the start of a round, you should ask yourself, who is going to move first? Who should you prioritize? Keep in mind, some enemies have multiple turns per round. It's easy to be caught off guard if you don't pay attention. If you select an enemy on the field, you'll be able to see how far they can move on their next turn, what their attack range is, and a blurb about what special abilities they may have. These are important things to keep in mind. For example, if someone has a dash attack that reaches the end of the map, then maybe you shouldn't set your entire party in front of them. Also, some enemies will have special counter effects that you should avoid triggering if you can help it. You can enter a tactical view by pressing the middle mouse button. If you prefer using a gamepad, you can press Y or triangle to access it. Tactical view lets you plainly see where enemies and hazards are on the map. The perspective during combat is static, unlike other tactics games in which you can move your camera around. With a static camera and enemies like maggots and flies that are hard to see, it's pretty common to have a small enemy sneak up to you without your notice. If you use tactical view, those hard to see enemies will be highlighted with a red skull. It becomes especially useful near the end of battle when you're just mopping up the leftovers. Like Dark Souls before it, Mewgenics rewards players who backstab enemies. Specifically, your cat will inflict 25% extra damage if they hit an enemy facing away from them. Some collars make this task easier than others. For example, the Thief collar gives a cat extra movement speed and the potential for abilities to turn enemies around. It's important to keep in mind how much mana each cat will recharge after each round, which is based on their intelligence stat. There may be a special ability that a cat can cast every turn depending on the mana cost versus the recharge rate. For example, this fighter can attack an enemy in melee range and use the 4 mana cost Butt Scoot to not only move away from the enemy, but also leave a maggot familiar behind to act as a teammate and a shield. Since that fighter regains 4 mana every turn, he can do it every turn. You may find yourself with a cat that has a bit of a mana surplus. If that happens, you should remember that most spells in the game can be cast as many times as your mana will allow. For example, Thorns is a defensive effect that reflects damage back to your attackers, and you can stack multiple instances of Thorns on top of yourself, which in turn rewards you heavily for being attacked. You should consider the order of your actions during a turn. Do you move first to get into range to attack, or do you let them come to you so you can attack and run away? There are items that let you move twice, so maybe you can do both with the right loadout. Perhaps you have a fighter with the ability Cosmic Punch that uppercuts enemies out into space for a turn. While that's pretty cool, you should probably maximize damage with a basic attack while they're still on the field, and then Cosmic Punch them away. It can feel like a lot to keep track of all the quirks of your available actions in a fight, especially with the ever-changing roguelike nature of the game, but it feels incredibly rewarding once you do so. On the battlefield, it's important to keep an eye on traps. Some enemies like to constantly spawn traps, making movement much harder, while other traps are inherent to the stage. Luckily, traps can also hurt enemies as well as yourself. Do you have a cat that has knockback with its basic attack? Why don't you just use that knockback to send them directly into a trap? Water is also present on many maps, and it tends to slow the movement of cats down to a crawl. If you find yourself ending a turn in a stream of moving water, be prepared to have your cat move in between rounds, which may incur some damage. It may be better to keep your cat on dry land a bit longer. Water is also conductive in all the ways you would imagine, so if you use a lightning attack on a body of water, everyone else in the water will feel its effects. Near the end of the match, if you have a free cat and see coins, health, or armor scattered around the field, you should make it an effort to pick it up before the end of the round. Keep in mind that the end of battle rewards will dwindle depending on how many rounds the fight lasts, so it may not be worth it to continue to the next round to pick up that extra coin. So once again, look at the turn order and make your determination on what you can accomplish before moving on. If you find a cat is out of range by 1 tile from a pickup scattered on the field, you can use a cat's basic melee attack to acquire it. This can be incredibly handy to get some extra coins, refill some health or armor, or possibly equipable items for the next fight. Unfortunately, this does not work with magic spells from afar. Once you finish a fight, you will most likely be prompted with a level up choice for 1 or more members of your squad. At this point, you should have an idea of what is and what isn't working with your team. You should remember what role your cat is filling with its collar, and pick abilities that will fill out that role better, or combo with its passive ability. Once again, consider things like mana cost. You don't want to fill your cat with abilities that take forever to use if their intelligence stat isn't up to snuff. It's wise to have a spread of cheaper to more expensive spells to more consistently give yourself options. Late into runs, you might be given stat increases as a reward instead of extra abilities. This is a great time to fix further inadequacies of your cat. Finally, you should also make sure that each of your cats has some sort of movement technique, if possible. Movement is key in Mewgenics and will help a cat either avoid ending a turn in a bad spot, or allow you to secure the kill on a foe that's attempting to get away from you. Throughout a run, you will be collecting an assortment of trinkets to further outfit your cat with. You might have an item that is better suited for a cat now that you have a new ability, or you might just have a new item that you picked up during the battle. Whatever you don't use, you can bring with you on future runs, depending on storage space. Keep in mind, you can reuse items that you previously equipped on other cats on future runs too, but they become worn and have a high likelihood to not survive for a third round. When you approach a non-battle space, you're often given a choice of what action to take, with each action using a stat from your cat to perform it. Think of it like Dungeons and Dragons or Baldur's Gate. The higher the stat in question, the more likely you are to succeed in a roll for it. It's still left up to chance, but you may as well pick the option that gives you the best chance. Keep in mind that these spaces can and will be cruel at times. They can range from giving you a decent reward to negative permanent effects for your cat that can lead a run to its inevitable downfall. If a cat completely dies during a run, usually because the knocked out body got destroyed by some means, don't throw in the towel. Sure, it will be harder, but if you persevere long enough, a wandering stray cat will find your party and join you for an adventure. They won't be anything special, being collarless and starting at level 0 no matter how far along you are in the adventure, but every soldier helps, especially back home. However, if you do feel like a run is doomed to fail, it may be better to go back home at the end of an area instead of venturing into a new one. If you do, you will hold on to the rewards you have gathered thus far, and most importantly, your cats will live to see another day, and breed another kitten or two. If you abandon a run during a battle, however, you will lose out on all the rewards you have obtained, and your cats will be MIA. Cats that didn't go through a full adventure are still useful in the meta progression system outside of combat. Don't fret, enjoy your spoils, and let your team enjoy a well-deserved nap. Mewgenics is by no means a walk in the park in terms of difficulty. Unlike some other tactics games, you aren't exactly able to collect various saves to prevent devastating moments from occurring. Thankfully, there is a bit of leeway hidden if you want to exploit it. If you save and quit during a battle and restart the game, you will encounter Steven from The End is Nigh and The Binding of Isaac fame, and he will do his best Mr. Rossetti impression. Steven will permit you one restart per run with no consequences, outside of a stern lecture. Just know, he won't be so friendly the second time. A cat will only have one adventure before retiring, but even in retirement, they are still extremely useful. Every night you have the chance to have new kittens join your army, and you can facilitate that by bringing the parents into the same room. You should make an effort to keep cats that have great passive abilities, high stats, or powerful mutations, as those can be passed on to their children. You'll also want to hold on to your strongest cats for the eventual, unavoidable boss battles where your home is invaded by a foe like Guillotina. As you progress through the game, you will be able to interact with the various NPCs of Boone County that will provide a new home of sorts for your retired cats. The level 1 upgrade for each NPC provides a great reward with a low cost of just one cat that fits their specifications, so it's best to prioritize those as soon as they become available. After receiving your level 1 NPC upgrade, it becomes much more time consuming to receive future upgrades. You will need to be smart on how you distribute your cats throughout all the NPCs. When you select a cat, you'll see a character portrait in their stat screen showing you who you will be able to give them away to. This is a great way to quickly cycle through your entire army if you're going for a specific upgrade. As for what you should prioritize, well, Frank will upgrade your house with extra rooms, which helps out a lot if you're trying to breed specific cats. But he does require a heftier sum of cats to upgrade him. It's not a bad idea to get the ball rolling with him. Alternatively, if you find yourself throwing away useful items and need even more space in your storage, then Butch is the way to go. Just know that your cats will need to get to at least the second stage of an Act 1 adventure to give them to Butch. You'll be more successful on passing on abilities and higher base stats if the room the cats procreate in has a higher stimulation stat. If you want your cats to breed more often and fight less often, you'll need a high comfort stat. If you want better stray cats to appear outside, you will need a higher appeal stat. To adjust these stats, you will need to buy furniture from the NPC Baby Jack, who will eventually unlock after a few runs. Once you unlock Baby Jack's level 1 upgrade, his shop will refresh every Sunday, and it's definitely worth saving some coins for. Unfortunately, Mewgenics doesn't provide you with a litter box. If you see a mess, it's your job to clean it up. If you don't, the cat's comfort stat will go down. Be careful, it's easy to miss if you have a crowded home. So that's an overview of what you should keep in mind while adventuring through Mewgenics. It's a game with incredibly deep combat mechanics that can keep players engaged for hundreds of hours. If you'd like some more help while you build your army of kitty killers, then be sure to check out our wiki for more tips and tricks, and for all other things gaming, keep it here on IGN.